I'm sorry, it's Captain. No, it's not. It's Captain. God, Edison's head. Hammer. Yeah. One M.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I always check that.
Okay.
Where'd Joe go?
He went to the bathroom.
Oh.
Should have thought of that before. Yeah. Yep, okay. Good evening. This is the combined council meeting for Thursday, June 12th, 2025, and we're calling the meeting to order. Please all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, Madam Clerk, could you read the roll call, please?
Councilmember Brescher.
Here.
Councilmember Coyle.
Here.
Councilmember Harris.
Here.
Councilmember Patel.
Here.
Councilmember Batil. Councilmember Pointer.
Present.
Councilmember Shmuel.
Here.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, could you read adequate notice?
Adequate notice of this meeting as required by the Open Public Meeting Act of 1975 has been provided by the annual notice sent to the Home News Tribune, Star Ledger, Desi Talk on November 18th, 2024, and posted in Main Lobby Municipal Complex on that same date.
Thank you very much. Council President's remarks, I don't have any for this evening. So we go on to review of the minutes. Any comments or questions about A through C? Okay, seeing none. We go to number 6 from the Business Administrator, A. Anyone have questions or comments? All right. Moving on to, from the Department of Finance, I do want to point out on letter F, which is resolution number R275, that is actually missing, just a mistake on the actual consent agenda for the regular meeting. So, but 275 is being voted upon tonight. So from the Department of Finance, A through F, questions or concerns?
Council President?
Yes.
It's just good to see the acceptance of the grants. Clean communities we get on an annual basis. It helps with the general cleanup around Township and aesthetics and beautification. And it's unfortunate that we are recipients of opioid monies from a settlement. However, it is good that the purpose of those monies will be to further addiction services within the Township. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, going on to from the Department of Health, A. All right. Number 9, from the Department of Planning and Engineering, A. Okay. 10, from the Department of Public Works, A through C.
Council President?
Yes, sir.
Just a general remark, particularly on item C, the Senior Rec Center. This is for HVAC upgrades to the senior center, which is just overall a good improvement for us to have. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. 11, from the Chief of Police, resolution, that's A. Okay. Municipal Court, number 12, A. All right. 13, from the Township Clerk, A through C. All right, we're going on now to the regular meeting. So we go back to approval of the minutes. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second? Thank
Second.
you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, now we go to public comment on the resolutions, only on the resolutions. The public comment on anything you want to talk about comes later, but this is just on the resolutions. Anyone wants to speak on the resolutions? Okay, seeing none, we'll go on to,
Motion to close the public portion.
oh yes, thank you.
Second.
Thank you. All in, do I have to do all in favor?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay, good, thank you. All right, moving on to the proposed resolutions, and keeping in mind that 275 is on there. For 270 through 298, anything that anyone wants to pull? No? Seeing none? Yes, let's, can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve?
Second?
Second.
Okay, can we get a roll call, please?
Councilmember Brasher.
Yes.
Councilmember Coyle.
Yes.
Councilmember Patel.
Yes.
Councilmember Pointer.
Yes.
Councilmember Shmuel.
Yes.
Council President Harris.
Yes. Okay. We now move on to oral petitions and remarks. That's your public chance to speak. You have 4 minutes. And so anyone from the public want to speak? Wow. All right. Motion to close the public portion?
Hold on a second.
Is there somebody?
It's his first time here in a while. Did you want to?
Did you want to speak? Yes. Oh, yes, okay, sure. Come on up. And if you could state your name and address, please.
Bernard Toscano, 35 Glencourt Avenue, Edison.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Got something in the mail saying that there was going to be a discussion about the intersection of Glencourt and Woodbridge Avenue tonight at 6 o'clock. Am I in the wrong place?
All right.
You are.
Yeah, I don't, that's not on our agenda tonight. I don't know where that was taking place. And it said it was taking place here at in the council chambers? I'm sorry, say again?
Can we see that?
Yeah,
Council President,
yes.
I know the mayor, there was some discussions among residents that Glencourt had a lot of cut-through for Woodbridge Avenue and was causing some unsafe situations for children on the block. And from what I understand, the mayor was looking at creating a study with the police department and other public safety and traffic professionals to consider a one-way that you would not be able to enter and race through the block off of Woodbridge Avenue. So access to turn and speed through that part of the neighborhood was going to be considered for a one-way. So from what I understood, that was part of why he put out public notice to that. I'd imagine you must live in the area or on that street. And if you have an issue with Glencourt, with speeding or anything you may not like, this is the time to say what you may be disappointed with on that block. I'm sorry that there may be some misunderstandings here tonight, but that was a discussion at hand. Now, from what I understand, nothing will be done tomorrow morning. There'll be studies and further, but if there's something to be said about that area tonight, the mayor's invited you to speak about Glencourt if you feel the same way as other residents who face that issue when people cut through to race up the block.
Yeah. Yeah, I see that my name is on this letter. I have no recollection of having put this out there, and somehow, if I did, and I just have forgotten about it, it was not conveyed for us to put this on the agenda. Do you have anything that you can tell us, Sonia?
I'm looking at this letter, and respectfully, this is not our letterhead. It certainly isn't the clerk's letterhead. I'm pretty familiar with it, so I apologize for the confusion. I believe there was a letter that went out to that, to their main, I'm not sure about Glencourt, actually. We're mixing up Grove and Calvert. So I don't know where this letter came from. I apologize for any confusion, but certainly did not come from the township.
So that is not our letterhead, you're saying?
No.
Since we're here, can we offer our comments?
You can, yeah, absolutely. You have about 1 minute left, but you certainly, other people from the public can speak to. So go ahead, sir.
Just very briefly, there are two comments. One, I agree with that. People turning in from Woodbridge Avenue and going up Fowler, that's a bad idea, and it would be a good idea to make that one way out only. The second comment is that I've lived there for 50 years, and I never, ever go out Glencourt onto Woodbridge Avenue because you can't see what's coming. So I always go either up to Grove not Grove, Grandview or down to Amboy Avenue. Never go out that way. So one way out would be fine, but one way in stopped would be good, a good idea as well. That's it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else want to speak about it while you're here? Okay, all right.
Is it,
Go ahead, Councilman
President, is
Coyle.
it fair to acknowledge that those who've come here have the same problem? They're agreeing with this gentleman who just spoke, our neighbor, who I know very well, on the block. I just wanted, for the record, people have come, a letter, I got a letter with letterhead from the township, and I can dig through my bag to find it. So I don't know this letter from the letter, but I know we sent out a letter as part of a communication I requested in the administration to be done. So between this busy part of our life and today, if there's some pattern of us misunderstanding what went out, I just wanted it to go on record that people were notified. I got an official letter, and they're here today. I just wanted to interrupt. I don't want this to interrupt another letter needing to go out again when people came here who were notified.
Council President?
Yes.
Just
We'll
this link,
we'll follow up on exactly where that came from.
yeah, this link does lead to a traffic study on Glencourt Ave on Edison, New Jersey. I mean, our website.
I believe there was one done years ago, so that's what you're referring to.
This from
Except
March.
I'm
This is from March 2025. That's the date on it.
So we'll confirm to see exactly where that came from. That's just not our letterhead, and I'll confirm exactly where that came from. Typically, of course, the governing body members, anyone that signs off, the clerk would put something like that. But right, so and I will confirm with administration where that came from.
Please, yeah, please follow up with that and let us know. I'm so sorry, everybody. I am not familiar with this. I'm familiar with the issue there, but I am not familiar with this particular letter, and it's disturbing that this is in my name. But no, we had no knowledge of this being put on the agenda for tonight. So our apologies to you about this. So sorry. Anyone else from the public? Yes, sir. Come on up. Name and address, please.
Thomas Erico, 32 Karen Place.
Okay.
Under the understanding that there's a major overhaul going in place for the Durham Woods or Edison Woods Park on Karen Place. Pickleball courts, tennis ball courts, a walking path, a dog park. Nobody ever came to the residents and got our input on this. This is a small neighborhood park, which with these proposals, the overflow of traffic would be horrendous to the people that live there. I've lived there my entire life, actually. And just now, on a Sunday afternoon, we have a group of people that come to play volleyball. That's one group of people for one court that they set up on their own. When they do that, there's no parking in the area for the residents that live there. So on a Sunday, I have to go out and move cars out of my driveway when I have company come over, just so that my guests have someplace to park. Now, this is just for one event in a small park. Now, the proposals are for multiple courts, lights, a walking path, a dog park. The dog park they already put in. Nobody utilizes the dog park. Everybody I know that lives in that neighborhood have lived there for a long time. Nobody requested a dog park. Nobody uses the dog park. And on top of that, the park is basically on swampland, part of the Dismal Swamp. So that area floods out heavily during a rainstorm. There's a storm creek that runs through our neighborhood that pitches into the park. Luckily, it doesn't pitch to the left side, which would be our houses in our neighborhood, which would cause flooding on my end. But it pitches into the park. So to do these increased fields that you want to pave and put back there is going to increase the flooding even more into that park. And on recent storms, it's actually gone from the back of that park, which kind of meets up with Reading Road Apartments. There's no real cut through there, but it's through the woods. It'll flood from there to the driveway of the park. So you're talking thousands of dollars of improvements that you're looking to put in there that are going to get flooded out every time it rains. If anything, come to the residents and ask our input as to what we want there. You can't bring 5 or 6 different sports fields back there and expect people to park all over the place. You're going to have arguments and fistfights out there. So I don't know what is exactly on the proposal. I've heard different things through the grapevine as to, tennis courts, pickleball, basketball courts, a walking path, lights for nighttime activity. I mean, there's a sign on the park that's been there for 40 years that clearly says, dusk to dawn. So if you throw lights back there now, you're putting lights in everybody's backyards, into their windows. It's going to be a nightmare. I mean, can somebody explain to me what's entailed in going on there?
Yes, sir. Actually, Council Vice President and I, Council Vice President has made a couple of visits there, and I came and I went with him on one of the visits there. And so we had this saved for our council discussion points, but we can certainly talk about this now, do you think? As good a time as any, I think, right?
I have no issue with that.
Okay, do you want?
I personally do have a bit to say, so I open up to anyone else that wants to first address.
Council President, is this the discussion by email we got from some residents?
Yes.
Who made a claim
Yes.
that they believe everybody wants this? And I'm not saying.
Yes.
Oh, and it's the pre-existing dog park?
Yes, the dog park that was put in
is-
last, I think,
Their claim was
December.
it's not the best use of the park.
Right,
Okay, so
right, yes. So,
I'd definitely like to make comment when available.
yeah, okay. But I'd like to start with Council Vice President, because he especially has done a very thorough study of all of this. So I'm going to turn that over to you, Council Vice President.
Thank you, Council President. I'll try to address your questions directly. In regards to lights, I personally have not seen anything that indicates new lights are being placed. And my understanding with visiting other parks, I don't know other parks that really have lights, so I'm kind of confused on that particular item. A walking path is figured to be installed around the perimeter of the park, and we had approved a resolution that would encompass exercise equipment that would figure to accompany that, but the specific layout has not been fully determined. As for the dog park, that was approved last year in August resolution, so that's fairly new. Just a general comment of what I would see is that it might not be utilized at the current moment just because of how new it is, and a lot of people aren't even aware that it's back there. As far as input from residents, I was of the impression that there was input provided. Again, just my own flooding concern in the, well, as for the plan, there is figured for the existing basketball court to be removed completely, and that would get new topsoil and become an open area. The basketball court would figure to go in front of where the second bat house is on the right-hand side. On the right of that would be a small pickleball court, and then on the left side would be a tennis court. So I know that there's increased coverage there because of the addition of the pickleball court and the tennis court. The basketball court is kind of a one-for-one, even though the existing court is a 30 by 70, it's not necessarily regulation size. The flooding concern, I have a question on as to what the runoff actually, how that actually traverses. In the plan from the engineering department, it showed that there was going to be grading to assist with that, and it just says grading to assist drainage. I don't know the specifics of, again, the actual flow of that, but I know that the flooding aspect was a concern, and when Council President and I had visited, it was a rough run back to my house because I ran there to run back, because I ran back in wet shoes. So I'm I got accustomed to the wet land that's there. That's a general overview of what the proposed improvements are. I have gotten several correspondences back that I know many of our colleagues have also been to. I don't want to take up too much time because I do have additional comments, and I want to allow others to speak, but that is a quick overview of what the proposed improvements are. If I can ask one question to the administration. Is it possible, I know we approved the resolution for the courts in December. Is there any opportunity that the layout can be modified? Because we had approved it, and I know that there might be purchasing guidelines and such that could cause hiccup on that question.
We can certainly look into it in terms of the modifications.
Okay. I have additional comments on that, but I'll save it for my discussion items, if that's okay.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
Thank you, Council President.
Yes, certainly, you can sit down, but we'll continue to have discussion from here. Is it-
Like I said,
I'm sorry, I'm sorry, your speaking time is up. So, but you can talk to us offline. Once the meeting is over, you can certainly talk to us offline. Okay? Councilman Coyle?
I'm aware of the letters that we received from some residents, and first I was disturbed to remove a dog park because dog parks have been a fundamental pleasure for dog lovers and families to get out and connect. If it's not working today, I still want to see some time before it can connect to the community. But before any changes would be done, I'd hope we'd speak to the entire community and do some type of survey before we made other changes to the park. And listening to the one resident about parking and issues and having a pickup volleyball court put in there, I don't know the permission process of that and how that works, but I understand it could be a disturbance in parking, and that's something I'm sure the administration will look into. But I'm not supporting today a change until the entire neighborhood is consulted with. Thank you.
Yes. Anyone else? Okay. As for me, and Council Vice President and I discussed some of the ideas that we had. Certainly the ponding there is a big, big problem. It was really bad the Sunday, it was about 2 Sundays ago, I believe it was. The ponding is very bad. And so we need to find out how we can remediate that. The fencing there is really, this is old and kind of run-down fencing. That's a problem. The signage for the park, well, you pointed out the sign. I had trouble myself. I've never been to Edison Woods Park, and I had trouble finding it. I was on my bike getting there. So the sign is actually inside the park. It's a number of feet inside the park. And so I think we were talking about making the signage more visible, perhaps an archway type of sign at the entrance to the park so that people know that it's there. Our theory is that the relative lack of use of the dog park might have to do with the fact that people don't know anything about it. So that's something, given that it was just recently put up there, I'm with Councilman Coyle on the fact that I think we need to give this more time and see how this all pans out. And I know Council Vice President had some thoughts about, in his ask about, can we change the configuration, let's say, of the courts? He had the idea of making them vertical to your houses rather than horizontal rather than vertical, so that there wouldn't be balls going over the fence over into your yards and things like that. And there should be less noise. So this is a work in progress, and we are very much on it. We appreciate all the communication that we've been getting. I know that there's the issue of the park, there's the issue of the intersection of Durham and New Durham, and that's been a concern of mine as well. So we're going to continue to pursue this, and this is an active issue. But we hear you. It's important you know we hear you, and we are going to continue to work on this and try to make this as user-friendly for everybody, including and especially the residents there, as we possibly can. Okay? All right. Anyone else from the public? All right, seeing none, can I get a motion to close?
Motion to close?
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We go to from the council member to the planning board.
Council President, there has not been a meeting since our last meeting.
Okay, all right. And reports from council committees, starting with Councilman Brescher.
None at this time.
Okay, Councilman Coyle. Councilman Coyle.
Choking on my water. I'm sorry, Council President. I'm just going to be brief. I'm just curious how we're doing with from the Council President to the administration, how are we doing with interviews for economic development person? Oh, committee, I'm sorry.
Yeah, not discussion.
I apologize. I have nothing on committee.
All right, nothing, okay. To Councilman Patel?
Yes.
Okay.
I just had a meeting for open space on June 5th at the third floor of this building. And really just, we had a couple of follow-up on the bike paths and the bike maps and the bike rack, but I think I do have it in the discussion items, and I will be discussing it during that time. That'll be it. Thank you.
Okay. Councilman Shmuel?
Not at this time.
Okay, and Council Vice President?
Not at this time.
Wow, all right. I just have one, and that's from the animal shelter. The May report, the adoptions, dog adoptions were 10, cat adoptions 10. Currently in the shelter, as of June 9th, are 13 dogs, 13 cats, and, whoa, 81 kittens. Okay, that certainly grew. So that's the report for May. I do want to point out that the Resident Advisory Committee is still seeking applications. Resident Advisory Committee, just to refresh, is a new committee that is going to have as its members 2 residents from each of the 3 major sections of Edison. We have Clara, we have North, we have South. And we've gotten a few applications, but we would really like to get more. And this is being chaired by Councilman Patil, who's not here today. But this is for the residents to represent those areas and have a voice, to meet monthly, have a voice about concerns that you all have, and that would be reported back during committee discussion here. So just know that you can apply for the Resident Advisory Committee. We are still very much interested in hearing your voices. And that would be it. On to points of light. Points of light?
Council President?
Yep.
Just wanted to say Happy Pride Month. Thank you.
Very good. Okay. Anyone else?
I have something.
What?
I have something. I wanted to first congratulate everybody involved in this democratic process and the election that happened just a few days ago. I want to congratulate my colleague for being involved, Rich Brescher, and putting his name out there to try to seek an opportunity for mayor. I want to thank our current mayor, who's being reelected, and all the people involved in seeing the great that's been done from this administration and from our mayor and council here. And I just wanted to say I had a great conversation with my colleague, Rich, and he had nothing but great things to say about the political process and the voting process and the will of the people, and when they vote, what they want. So I thought that was a great conversation. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for points of light? All right. And for myself, I attended, along with Council Vice President, attended the torch run, the police torch run this past Friday, on a hot, sticky day, but there was really a lot of participation in this, and so they got through the weather conditions. And again, this is such a wonderful cause, and this is for towards raising funds for the Special Olympics. 2024, we came in 3rd for fundraising, so we're hoping that we might have beaten that this year. So again, thank you to our police department for what they do for not just our community, for the public at large. Okay. Oh, also. This coming Saturday is the Juneteenth celebration at Job Corps in Edison. That's at 9 a.m. Saturday, June 21st, is the Eid celebration at Lake Papiani from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. And that would be it. All right, moving on to discussion items. I'm going to start with you, Councilman Shmuel. I think you might have had an item.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Council President. I wanted to discuss with my council colleagues about Comcast transition into Edison. And while everybody's very excited about Comcast coming in and breaking up Optimum's monopoly, there are some concerns from the residents on the actual work, specifically when it comes to their installation of their infrastructure. So right now, in my part of town, in South Edison, they started last Monday. They did 2 streets, and in front of you, I took some photos of these boxes that are being installed every 2 to 3 houses. I've got a few phone calls from residents that find it to be not the most beautiful thing and a bit obtrusive. So I made a phone call to a gentleman by the name of Fred DeAndrea, who's a representative of Comcast, and asked him for some ideas and solutions. He's yet to get back to me, but I want to discuss with the rest of you, how did this come about? Did we, the administration, did this council approve these boxes? Is there anything that we could do about them? Can they get smaller? Can we stop the process? Can this be done underground? What are our options to go back to our residents and give some answers?
I invite anyone to respond to this.
Rich, go first.
Yeah, I mean, we did approve, so Comcast applied to the state, to the BPU for approval to come here, because Optimum's contract ran out. In fact, if I understand it correctly, I think FiOS is actually now applying also. But what Comcast needed was they needed the council's approval to come here, and we gave that. I believe it was a year or 2 years ago that we approved it. What wasn't in there though was, and I'll, to your point, my assumption, right, and I guess that's where we end up in trouble, was they were going to do like Verizon, and they were going to do it overhead, like we have on the telephone poles. I was unaware that they were going to put these green boxes for underground, and that's what they've done, and that's why the roads are cut up, right, and some of them aren't patched correctly, but I think the administration is following up on them on all throughout the town on that. But the ones in the photo that you showed, it probably doesn't hurt to have a conversation with them where they could place it at the property line, because I've noticed them like in the middle of, you come out the front of your door and it's sitting there right out like a lawn ornament for you. That might be something in discussions where we could, ask them to put them like on the property lines. They can only go so many feet because they're doing them underground. They're not digging them. They're kind of tunneling them. But I think having those discussions, I think they can do that for you.
So is that something that we do? Is something the administration does? Because this is happening now, and it's going to continue to happen, which is great. But there's issues with these boxes. You can't mow your lawn around them. They're on people's property. They're going to get overgrown, and we talk and sit here about beautifying our neighborhood, and this, in my opinion, and in the residents' opinion, I think it counteracts what we're trying to do. So what are our options, and can we stop this momentarily until Comcast comes with a better solution?
Anyone?
President, I think, wouldn't that be a question for the administration as to what limitations does Comcast have?
So this is all under the BPU. It is not anything that the township would have any jurisdiction over. I've also been in communication with Mr. DeAndre, and we met with another person from Comcast. So what we need to do is coordinate between our township engineer and Mr. DeAndre to understand exactly what our expectations are. And so hearing you all loudly and from residents is that largely the issues are restoration and it going back to, where it was, and between, the seating and the lawn care and the streets. So we're going to coordinate again with him to understand the areas and what our expectations, basically, what they are.
I think the issue in this particular case is the boxes. Is there a possibility to push them into the property.
That's the right of way. It's their right of, it's their,
I know we
it's
give
what
them
they
a
do.
permission
We don't
to,
have any jurisdiction
yeah,
as
okay,
far as the
and we
township
can't
goes.
control the size of them either, right?
That I'd have to defer to legal. Again, it's all under the auspices of the BPU.
Legal?
I can speak generally to the issue. I can't speak specifically. So in the old days, when cable first came out, there were franchise agreements for each municipality, and each franchise holder put in the infrastructure to service their clients, and there was no competition. I don't want to say 15, 20 years ago, Verizon obtained the first statewide franchise and kind of took the locals out of the process. It's my understanding that Comcast has now received BPU approval, that's the Board of Public Utilities, who has the regulatory authority over cable TV companies, for their own statewide franchise. And installations and the way they roll out their infrastructure is through the BPU, not through the locals. At the same time, you're coming into a town, you want people to use your services, you would expect them to be cooperative. So what your business administrator has said is that she and engineering will reach out to them and see if there is, what their plans are, and if there is a way that they can lessen the impact on the residents themselves. It's also my understanding that any infrastructure has to be in the public right-of-way and shouldn't be on private property. So those are the general rules. I'm not familiar with specifically what's going on in Edison.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Council President.
Yes, Councilman
I
Farrell?
listened to my comments from my council colleague, Shmuel. I took notice, and I've also gotten several phone calls. I would believe that Comcast would work something out, regardless if they had approval from the BPU. It's quite obvious this is not just an ornament. This is a large pile of bricks in front of your house. And, you know, as Councilman Brescher said, if it was on the border of the property, there's something you may be able to work with. But when you walk out your driveway and this is the new monument you have at the end of your driveway, it's not something you're looking forward to. And had residents been aware of this prior to, you know, accepting Comcast coming to their community, I think there would have been a discussion. I'm not in the business of fiber and wiring, but I would hope that they can build a box and put this underground, no different than the water company has. All their meter pits are underground. So I hope we can speak to them. And perhaps, I know we may not be able to do a stop work order because this is BPU, but perhaps they would do a voluntary stop work order temporarily just to find a resolution before they keep just on installing the boxes. If they want to continue their work and their wiring is one thing, but they should come up with a remedy that would fit the community. I mean, I would not want to see one of these every 10 houses in my community, or every 2 houses, you're saying, right? Thank you, Council President.
Anyone else?
Council President?
Yes.
First, I agree with the comment that Councilman Brescher mentioned, that an assumption, and you know what they say about assuming, but my presumption at the time was that they were going to use the telephone poles, right, and go above ground. Now, I understand that not every location in Township has wires above ground and some are underground, so it may be a necessity. But that was a presumption that I had. Just a general comment / recommendation. If by chance, like the boxes themselves cannot be changed out for whatever reason, and I do not know this, maybe they may be amenable to doing something like what Disney does. Disney has a color called Go Away Green, and is meant for objects that are out there in a specific green color so that it actually blends in with the natural environment a lot better. I know that doesn't take away the issue of the box itself being an inconvenience right in front of people's property, but from an aesthetic standpoint, it may be an option. So I just wanted to say that. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Oh, Council President?
Yes.
They could, I mean, I'm not sure if this is possible, they could also plant some hedges, they do those towers with the cell towers where they try to blend it in with the trees.
yeah.
I mean, they don't succeed always, but I think that is a solution that they could maybe pursue. Again, I'm not sure if we have any legal authority to make them pursue it, which I don't think we do. But if they are interested in taking care of the community that they're going to serve, I think that'd be the right approach.
Yeah, from the aesthetic standpoint, this literally takes away from curb appeal of houses. And I'm even thinking, and I don't know, the Cultural Arts Commission is trying to get the approval to be able to paint some of the utility boxes. We need to get that approved through PSE&G. I wonder, and that we would have people who are interested in volunteering their time to paint them, some students or whatever it is. I'm wondering if these cannot be moved in underground or somewhere else, I wonder if there would be an opportunity for the same thing, if Comcast would allow artists to paint these boxes and make it kind of like a little sculpture of sorts. But as is, it really does detract from a property and probably takes down the property value a little bit. So I'd like to see if there's some kind of remediation that can be made. Anything else from you, Councilman Schmidt?
That's it. Thank you, Council
Okay, all right. Councilman Patel.
Thank you, Council President. I do agree. I think the art installation would be a wonderful idea if we can pursue that. I do want to follow up with the Comcast, which is with the road. I believe it was supposed to be curb to curb, and I saw some email chains going back and forth where they did a little strip. Is that legally allowed, or are they going to be doing a curb to curb?
That's where I left off yesterday evening with Mr. DeAndrea was our expectations. And
Okay.
so,
mean-
of course, our expectation is not to do a strip, rather the curb,
I mean, expectations and what's in our ordinance, they have to follow our ordinance, right?
Correct,
Okay.
correct.
And they would be doing curb to curb.
Oh, correct, or the half. It doesn't always necessarily apply curb to curb.
Depends on when it was actually repaved last. Sorry, it depends on when it was actually repaved last. So we have a 5-year moratorium, so anything that was paved within the past 5 years would have to go curb to curb. Anything after that 5-year time period is up to the midpoint of the street generally.
And I am wondering if the council would be interested in increasing that time frame from 5 years to a little higher, because usually most roads don't really we don't get to repave them for 30 years. So I would say at least a halfway point would be a better approach for the council to take, maybe 15 years. And then that way it'll give us another 15 years and then we can repave it completely. But either way, I think that is something we can pursue down the road. Moving forward, the other question I had was the EMS budget increase. I know we had a conversation, Sonia, that we are going to be pursuing this later in the year, but I just want to state it publicly because it was a question that was brought up to me from EMS, whether or not they're getting the budget increase. So are we getting the increase?
Council Vice President and Council President actually had inquired about it, and we were planning for that.
Okay, perfect.
And usually the contribution comes in the last quarter of the year.
Thank you. The next thing I want to follow up was the economic developer that Councilman Coyle and I have been pursuing. Is there any update on that? None? I think this is something that we have been pursuing for almost half a year now, and I think we should try to work harder to get that position filled, simply because time is a wastage. And, we could be getting Trader Joe's that Woodbridge got. And I think our residents would appreciate if we had an economic developer working hard to get such businesses that are successful and that are wanted by our residents to serve them. And I think if we had a particular position that actively pursued such businesses, it would be helpful not only in our tax, but also in the services the residents get. Because I would love to have a Trader Joe's nearby. Actually, it's actually opening up nearby a house, so I'm okay in that particular instance. But still, I would think the rest of the Edison would appreciate if we had such businesses being actively pursued. In terms of bike rack at the municipal building, this was brought up at the Open Space Committee. It was supposed to be done prior to the Edison bike tour, Edison Metuchen bike tour, but it did not happen. So is that something that we're still working on? And when will that be done? Do you have a timeline on it?
It may be in the works, but we'll get back to you tomorrow.
Okay, thank you. The other thing was the bike map and the Stephenville Parkway bike map. I think the engineer's not here, but I will reach out to Brian and follow up on that. And same thing with the centralized project management. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Coyle?
Thank you, Council President. Just for communications, I want to make a comment, and I want to thank the clerk's office for the hard work they did during this election.
Yes.
I mean, I called there, and I spoke to someone, I couldn't even recognize her voice because she was exhausted at 4:31 in the afternoon. So I couldn't tell if it was Cheryl's voice or Marlena's voice. But I do appreciate what you do, and it's a lot of work that week of election cycle, and thank you. Again, I just want to piggyback off economic development. At the next meeting or the following meeting, I'd like to request to do a slideshow presentation on marketing and the things that the township can do. Because I know it seems to be a challenge to find this one person. And I'm also just been waiting. I'm here, I think I've been about a good 15 months just asking for this economic development person. But I feel if we broke down some of the jobs this person will be doing, perhaps we could consult that out to marketing. I mean, I'd be happy tomorrow morning if we did outreach letters to different franchise or corporations, let them know that Edison is open for business, and to see if they'd like to have a meeting and sit down with the administration or someone who is allowed to ethically be involved in having a discussion. As I mentioned, I think economic development is one of the most important roles of keeping your neighborhood beautiful. And when people use words like detrimental, I'm challenged when they use that. But I do know it's an issue when stores close and they don't get reopened and another service comes in instead of a specialty store. Although I love services for communities, it's great to have a different variety, but you need restaurants and specialty stores to keep the charm of a community, and it just certainly makes up a difference. So with the council president's permission, I'd like to request at the next meeting I can present a slideshow. I'll be brief, 10 minutes, to go over some things, and I'd ask Councilman Porter to perhaps look at what I presented before I do present it.
It's okay by me.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay. Councilman Brescher?
I don't have it listed on this sheet,
Okay.
but I have one item instead of the 42.
Point of order, Council President, can't happen.
Okay, I'll go through the 42.
Go ahead, Councilman Brescher.
Right, it's easier. I just said, we just had an election the other day, and I'd like to congratulate all the winners out there that won. And I'd like to thank everybody that took part in the election to go out there and put themselves out there and go through that. I'd also like to thank the supporters for every one of the sides that we had, and especially the residents. Without the residents coming out to vote, you know, it can be decided by a couple of people. So it was nice to see that, you know, I think it might be 12,000 people or something like that came out and voted, which was nice to see them taking part in their local government. You know, with that said, I seen the message that was sent by the residents, and hopefully I can, you know, adhere to that. But again, I'd like to just thank everybody who was out there, and the clerk's office, I know, as usual, ends up, you know, getting the brunt of all of this every election cycle we have. So I'd like to thank the clerk's office, too, for all of this. Oh, and Sam Joshi, congratulations. He is the winner. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Council Vice President.
Thank you, Council President. First, I'll just start with the community initiative. A couple of municipalities have like 5Ks or half marathons that they operate throughout the township. In fact, I was coached into joining a half marathon by my counselor colleague to do the Philadelphia half marathon in September. So it's just an idea to put out there that maybe this is something that the township could consider in the future. Highland Park, for instance, with their 5K, they actually partnered that with their Main Street Fair. So that may be something that, you know, when we had the Fall Family Spectacular, that could be worked on together. In terms of actual mapping out a marathon route, you quite literally can do 26.2 miles around the perimeter of Edison, not going through Metuchen, hitting several key areas around the township, whether it's Roosevelt Park, the Edison Tower, Central Avenue here with Lake Papiani, Edison, the Edison State Park / Middlesex County College, and the Greenway, just to name a few. So these are opportunities that I hope would be explored in the future. Likewise, on like a half marathon route, if you were to use Oak Tree, Woodland, Inman, and Wood Avenue, that's actually a 9-mile route right there. I know from personal experience. So, and then you use some of the intersecting artery roads to make up the rest of the distance. So just wanted to put that out there as a potential community initiative. Next, in regards to ordinances for consideration, I've spoken for several months in regards to the LI zone change that I would like to see along properties on the Greenway and environmental impact studies. I provided for my colleagues just a draft ordinance for review. I would request to get your feedback in regards to the proposed changes. I have provided this to the administration. We have had conversations in regards, but I want to make sure that I also get your feedback as well. And I will make sure to send this to Councilman Patil in that regards. Finally, in regards to park improvements and maintenance, we had spoken before about Edison Woods Park or Durham. And these are just a couple of general comments that I have on the proposed work. I have gotten feedback that is a little bit mixed. I've gotten feedback in the sense of like, we would like to see increased utilization of the park, but then again, if there's increased utilization of the park, there could be parking concerns which were brought up before. I had gotten communications of a request for a walking path, but then later, or originally that request was taken off, but then that request was put back on. A couple of general items that I think that we could look into with the current proposed layout that would address some of the issues that residents have brought up, particularly in regards to noise. So one item is that because of how the courts are facing, if you're shooting a basketball this way towards a person's house, well, that noise is going to travel this way. That's what Council President was trying to say in regards to repositioning so that it go laterally so that any of those noises may be mitigated. There was also a concern about the noise created from pickleball usage, where if you were to do that and then flip the basketball court and the pickleball court, you would actually be pushing that further back away from the residents' properties. I agree that the fencing does need to be improved on. Drainage is definitely an item of concern. I'd be curious to see if there's ability to connect the Peter J. Barnes Preserve trail in the back there to the park, just to expand recreation and walking opportunities. I just want to make mention. I do agree with the request for like general beautification or additional flowering plants that are there. If you were to revitalize the entry sign that's there, that could be a nice opportunity for those types of improvements. When Council President and I had visited, the back area by the brook, I believe it's technically, was very, it was just a nice area to kind of like relax and kind of see. So maybe that's an area that could be looked into. And as was mentioned, there is opportunity to revisit the proposed layout, maybe with the feedback that we have received, as well as the administration in recent. There's been a request from the residents to have just additional sitting areas that could be generally utilized for overall just leisure and general activities. So that may be something to consider in the future. With that, I think that we do need to see if there's opportunity to condense all this into a singular plan. I know that's what is proposed may seem to be too much. I would like just to make, at the end of the day, I would just want to see an open space that residents utilize for their overall benefit, whether it's just being outdoors more, whether it's increasing recreation, general athletic activity. But there are items that I think can be modified that would satisfy both positions of the park improvements. Thank you, Council President.
Yeah, I would like to underscore how taken I was with how picturesque that little area by the brook is. And I would love to see a picnic table put there, maybe some chairs, because it is a very peaceful area. It was one of my favorite things about the park. So I think that there is opportunity there as well. But this conversation will definitely continue. For myself, we've talked, I think Council Vice President talked about Edison Woods, and we spoke about it in our responses to you, sir. Then there's the intersection of Durham and New Durham, and Captain Hammer, this is a problem. The problem I've had with it, and the residents there by the Edison Woods area, this very same neighborhood, have talked about traffic accidents there. I brought this up, I think, a month or so ago, that when I'm going on Durham and the triangle where it intersects New Durham, it's really very hard. I have to do a real hard look back to see that a car isn't coming from the New Durham section. And I had asked at the meeting when I brought this up if there was anything that could be done, if there was any sort of positioning of a big mirror that would allow someone coming from Durham to be able to see traffic coming from New Durham. But apparently the residents are also very concerned about accidents. I personally, when I am going from, when I'm going from New Durham back to make the slight left onto Durham, I haven't found it problematic, but I think some of these residents have found it. So, ma'am, public comment is over at this point, so we can talk to you afterwards. Is there anything that can be done? I don't know where things are at with regard to recent traffic studies done there, and so Captain Hammer, do you have any information about this?
I do not have any information. However, I will bring it up to the chief, who would give it up to Lieutenant Turner or Sergeant Winters. We have to figure out if it's a county road, there's only so much we're able to do. But if they've done a traffic study there, we could find out.
I think the problem, there's the problem with the sight lines, and I'm wondering if there's anything that can be done to enhance the visibility of the sight lines. That's one thing. And so if you can get some more information about traffic studies that have been done recently. Sonia, did you have information?
I do. Our town engineer, who's watching our meeting, actually just updated me on that intersection is having, there are improvements because of the gas station.
Yeah.
So there are some improvements that are going there, and I can, once I get those, I can provide that information to the council.
Okay, I would appreciate that. I noticed when I was on Tingley making the left on Rahway, the Welcome to Edison sign is obscured, and so I'm wondering if we can, it's the, I think, tree that's overgrown, if we can get that trimmed so that the sign can be visible. If we can communicate that. Okay, and this is a familiar one, but any idea of when work on the Ferrante house is going to start again?
I did get an update with all of the summer work. We're looking at the end of the summer.
End of the summer, okay. And lastly, because the Pride event had been canceled due to the threat of rain, it really wasn't terrible, but it wasn't great either. Has there been a rescheduling of that event, or is it just plain canceled?
There was no rain date, so it was canceled.
Okay, all right. That's it for me. Can I get, did you have?
Council President?
Yes.
Just a question. Just a couple people showed up late, and I know we normally don't get through our meetings this early. Would there be any objection to reopening public comment to allow for them to speak?
Council President, I wouldn't want to reopen public comment, but I would make, if there's a possibility, we can make an exception to hear this subject. I don't know whether opening up I'm here, I could stay and speak to them personally. You know, I can allow time to speak to you. It's not my call, but I'm concerned with opening up public comment.
Yeah, I have no problem with staying afterwards and speaking with you. Are you all from the Edison Woods area? Okay. I have no problem being offline and speaking to you, whomever wants to speak. Yeah, I'd be happy to do that. I think we have several other council members who would too. Thank you. Okay. So can we get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, this meeting is adjourned at 7:07 PM. Our next work session meeting is June 23rd, and the regular session is June 25th. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Nice to see you.